The morning sun cast long shadows across the human settlement on Kepler 44 to be as Captain Marcus walked through the main street. 2 years of hard work had transformed this empty planet into a thriving colony. Metal buildings lined both sides of the road, and the sound of mining equipment echoed from the nearby hills. Children played between the houses while their parents worked in the fields and factories. Marcus stopped at the communication center where Lieutenant Jake was monitoring deep space signals. The young officer looked up from his screen with tired eyes. He had been working the night shift, listening for any signs of trouble in the vast emptiness of space. "Anything unusual, Jake?" Marcus asked, pouring himself a cup of coffee from the machine nearby. "All quiet, sir. Just the usual background noise from the nearby star systems," Jake replied, adjusting his headphones. Marcus nodded and continued his morning inspection. The colony had grown beyond their original plans. What started as a simple mining operation had become home to over 10,000 people. Engineers, farmers, teachers, doctors, and their families had all made this distant world their new home. At the medical center, Dr. Alina was checking the latest health reports. She looked up as Marcus entered, pushing her glasses up her nose. Her lab coat was stained with coffee, showing she had been working through another long night. "Are people doing, Alina?" Marcus asked. "Everyone is healthy. The local environment agrees with us. No diseases, clean air, good water. We picked a good planet," she said with a smile. Marcus was about to respond when alarms started blaring throughout the colony. The emergency siren cut through the peaceful morning like a knife. People stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky with worried faces. Lieutenant Jake's voice crackled over the communication system. "Captain Marcus, please report to the command center immediately. We have multiple large objects appearing in orbit." Marcus ran through the streets, his heart pounding. Dr. Elena followed close behind, her medical bag bouncing against her side. When they reached the command center, Admiral Torres was already there, studying the main display screen with a grim expression. "What are we looking at, Torres?" Marcus asked, breathing heavily from his run. 12 ships, sir. Each one is roughly 5 kilometers long. They appeared out of nowhere about 10 minutes ago," Torres replied, pointing at the screen. The display showed massive alien vessels hanging in space above their planet. The ships were unlike anything humans had ever built. They were dark and angular, covered with strange markings that seemed to glow with their own light. "Have they tried to communicate?" Marcus asked. "Not yet, but our sensors are picking up scanning beams. They're studying us," Torres said. "Doctor." Alina moved to another console and began analyzing the energy readings from the alien ships. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she tried to understand the technology they were facing. Suddenly the main screen flickered and changed. A face appeared on the display, and everyone in the command center fell silent. The alien had pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern. When it spoke, its voice was deep and commanding. "Primitive humans of this world, I am Overlord Kane of the Hegemony. You will surrender immediately and join our empire. Resistance is pointless." Marcus stepped forward and activated the communication system. "This is Captain Marcus, leader of this colony. We are peaceful people. What do you want from us?" Aliens for eyes seemed to focus on Marcus through the screen. Behind Overlord Kane, other alien figures could be seen moving around what appeared to be a command bridge. "We want nothing from you except obedience. This system now belongs to the Hegemony. Your people will be relocated to serve our empire. You have no choice in this matter. We would like to discuss this peacefully." "Perhaps we can meet and talk about our situation," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice calm. Overlord Kane made a sound that might have been laughter. "You wish to negotiate? How amusing. We will allow a small group of you to visit our ship. Consider it entertainment for my officers." The screen went dark, leaving the command center in silence. Admiral Torres moved to Marcus's side and spoke quietly. "Sir, this feels like a trap. You're not treating us as equals. I know, but we need to understand what we're dealing with. Prepare a diplomatic team. Me and Dr. Alina will go," Marcus decided. 3 hours later, a small alien craft descended from the sky and landed near the colony. It was sleek and silent, hovering just above the ground without any visible means of support. The door opened with a soft hiss, revealing a ramp leading into the ship's interior. The three humans walked up the ramp, each carrying basic equipment and recording devices. Inside, the ship was larger than it appeared from outside. The walls seemed to be made of a material that shifted color as they moved through the corridors. Two alien guards escorted them through the ship. These creatures were different from Overlord Kane. They were taller and more muscular, with gray skin and no visible eyes. They carried weapons that hummed with energy, clearly advanced technology. The journey to the main ship took only minutes. When they docked, the humans were led through corridors filled with aliens of different species. Some had multiple arms, others had skin that changed color, and a few floated in the air without touching the ground. Finally, they entered a large chamber where Overlord Kane waited. He sat on a throne-like chair, surrounded by officers from various alien species. One of them, introduced as Commander Vex, approached the humans with obvious curiosity. "So these are the famous humans," Commander Vex said, walking around them like they were animals in a zoo. "Show us your weapons." Admiral Torres hesitated, then slowly drew his sidearm. It was a standard military pistol, reliable and simple. Commander Vex took it and examined it closely, turning it over in his hands. "This uses chemical propulsion to fire metal projectiles?" Commander Vex asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "Yes, that's correct," Torres replied. The alien officers began laughing. The sound echoed through the chamber as they passed the human weapon around, each one examining it with amusement. "This is barely more advanced than throwing rocks," one alien said. "Do you still use gunpowder?" another asked, causing more laughter. Commander Vex drew his own weapon, a sleek device that glowed with blue energy, pointed it at a metal table, and fired. The table simply vanished, turning to dust in an instant. "This is a real weapon," Commander Vex said proudly. "Pure energy, guided by quantum targeting systems. Your little metal bullets could never penetrate our shields." Overlord Kane raised one of his four hands and the chamber fell silent. Looked down at the three humans from his throne. "You have 72 hours to gather your people and prepare for transport. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your colony. We suggest you spend this time saying goodbye to your primitive weapons and your simple way of life." The meeting was over. Humans were escorted back to their shuttle and returned to the planet's surface, as their small craft descended toward the colony. The massive alien ships continued to orbit overhead like dark clouds threatening a storm. The shuttle touched down at the colony landing pad with a soft thud. Captain Marcus, Admiral Torres, and Dr. Alina stepped out into the afternoon sun, their faces grim with worry. The colonists had gathered around the landing area, hundreds of anxious faces waiting for news about their fate. Marcus climbed onto a cargo container so everyone could see him. The crowd fell silent, parents pulling their children closer as they waited to hear what the aliens had said. "People of New Terra Colony," Marcus began, his voice carrying across the crowd. "We have met with the aliens. They call themselves the Hegemony, and they have given us 72 hours to surrender." A wave of panic swept through the crowd. Some people started crying, others began shouting questions all at once. A woman near the front raised her voice above the noise. "What happens if we surrender?" she asked. "They want to relocate us to serve their empire." "We would no longer be free," Marcus replied honestly. An older man pushed forward through the crowd. "And if we fight, what are our chances?" Admiral Torres stepped up beside Marcus. "We don't know yet, but we're going to find out." Crowd dispersed. The colony's leadership gathered in the main conference room. The circular table was surrounded by worried faces. Besides Marcus, Torres, and Alina, there was Lieutenant Jake from Communications, Sergeant Rita, who led the Marine detachment, and several civilian leaders. "Tell us exactly what you saw up there," Sergeant Rita said. Leaning forward in her chair, Dr. Alina pulled out her tablet and displayed the readings she had taken during their visit. "Their technology is definitely advanced, but it follows patterns we can understand. Their weapons use focused energy beams, and their ships have some kind of shield system." "What about their attitude?" asked Mike, the chief engineer. "They think we're jokes," Torres said bluntly. "They laughed at our weapons, call them primitive toys. They don't see us as any kind of threat." Marcus nodded. "That might be our advantage. If they underestimate us, we might have a chance." Over the next few hours, the alien broadcasts began. The communication system crackled to life every 30 minutes with new messages from the ships above. Each broadcast was more mocking than the last. Commander Vex appeared on the main screen in the command center, his alien features twisted into what looked like a smile. "Humans of the surface, we hope you are enjoying your final hours of freedom. We have been discussing your amusing weapons." With our junior officers, the alien held up a standard human rifle, turning it slowly for the camera. "Our scientists tell us this crude device fires small pieces of metal using controlled explosions. How wonderfully primitive. Our shields can stop thousands of these little projectiles without any strain." Another broadcast came an hour later. From a different alien officer? This one was from the floating species they had seen on the ship. "We have studied your explosive devices as well, chemical reactions creating pressure waves. Our armor plating makes us completely immune to such simple attacks." Lieutenant Jake was recording every broadcast, analyzing the aliens' words for useful information. "Sir, they're actually telling us a lot about their defenses," he reported to Marcus. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. "They keep talking about stopping fast-moving projectiles and energy-based attacks. Their shields and armor are designed for specific types of weapons," Jake explained. Dr. Alina looked up from her computer where she was studying the alien energy signatures. "Jake's right. I've been analyzing their technology, and it's very specialized. They've built defenses against the weapons they know about." Sergeant Rita gathered her Marines in the armory. The room was filled with standard military equipment, assault rifles, pistols, grenades, rocket launchers, and various other weapons. The Marines looked nervous as they cleaned and checked their gear. "Listen up," Rita said, her voice steady and calm. "These aliens think our weapons are toys. They've probably never faced human military tactics before." Private Tom, one of the younger Marines, raised his hand. "Sergeant, if their shields can stop our bullets, how do we fight them?" "We get creative," Rita replied. "Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned how to adapt and overcome any enemy." Meanwhile, Admiral Torres was meeting with the colony's technical staff. The mining operation had given them access to various industrial equipment and explosives. The engineers were examining everything they had available. "What about the mining charges?" asked Anna, the demolitions expert. "Too conventional," Torres replied. "They'll expect explosives." Mike, the chief engineer, was studying blueprints of the colony's power systems. "What if we think differently? What if we don't fight them the way they expect?" "What do you mean?" Torres asked. "They're prepared for advanced weapons. But what about simple ones? What about weapons so basic they won't know how to defend against them?" Dr. Alina had spent the entire afternoon analyzing the alien broadcasts and the data from their ship visit. She called Marcus to her laboratory as the sun was setting. "Marcus, I think I understand something important," she said, pointing to charts on her computer screen. "What did you find?" "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also very specific. Their shields work by detecting incoming threats and creating barriers to stop them. But they have to recognize the threat. First, Marcus studied the data. So if we use something they don't recognize as a weapon, exactly. They've prepared for energy weapons and high-speed projectiles. But what about things that work differently? The colony's leadership met again as night fell. The alien ships above them glowed against the stars, a constant reminder of the deadline approaching. The conference room was lit by emergency lighting to avoid attracting attention. "We have about 50 hours left," Marcus said, looking around the table. "What do we have?" Torres had compiled a list of their available weapons and equipment. Standard military gear for a colony this size. Rifles, sidearms, rocket launchers, some heavy weapons. Plus, industrial equipment from the mining operation. Not enough firepower to face their ships directly, Sergeant Rita observed. "Maybe we don't need to face them directly," Dr. Alina suggested. "Maybe we need to fight smarter, not harder." Another alien broadcast interrupted their meeting. This time it was Overlord Kane himself, speaking from his throne room. "Humans, we hope you are using your remaining time wisely. Tomorrow, our warriors will demonstrate why resistance is impossible." The alien leader gestured to someone off-screen, and Commander Vex appeared beside him, carrying various human weapons they had confiscated from other conquered worlds. "These primitive chemical weapons are found on many worlds we have conquered," Kane said. "Metal projectiles, explosive charges, simple energy devices. Our technology makes all of these obsolete." Vex activated his energy weapon and destroyed each human weapon in turn, the advanced alien technology easily overpowering the human equipment. "In 47 hours, you will board our transport ships. Any attempt to resist with your primitive weapons will only provide entertainment for our soldiers before your inevitable defeat." The broadcast ended, leaving the conference room in silence. Outside, the colony's people were trying to sleep, but most were lying awake, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Marcus looked around the table at his friends and colleagues. These people had followed him across the galaxy to build a new life. Now that life was threatened by beings who saw them as nothing more than amusing primitives. They keep calling. "Are weapons primitive?" Marcus said slowly. "Maybe it's time we showed them that primitive doesn't mean ineffective." The 72-hour deadline arrived with the dawn. Captain Marcus stood on the command center roof, watching the alien ships move in the sky above. The massive vessels had shifted position during the night, forming an attack formation that blocked out parts of the morning sun. Commander Vex's voice echoed across the colony through loudspeakers mounted on the alien ships. "Humans, your time is over. Prepare for collection. Do not resist, and your deaths will be quick." Marcus climbed down from the roof and entered the command center where Admiral Torres was coordinating the colony's defenses. Every screen showed different parts of the settlement where people were taking positions behind buildings and barriers. "All teams report ready, sir," Lieutenant Jake announced from his communication station. "Remember the plan?" Marcus said into his headset. "Let them think we're fighting conventionally at first." The first alien ships began descending from orbit. They were smaller than the massive command vessels, designed for planetary assault. Each ship was about the size of a large building and moved with smooth, silent grace toward the colony. Dr. Elena watched from her position in the medical center, which had been converted into a secondary command post. Her computer screens showed the energy readings from the approaching ships. "Their shields are at minimum power," she reported. "They're not expecting any real resistance." Sergeant Rita crouched behind a concrete barrier with her Marines, watching the sky through binoculars. The first alien landing craft touched down about a kilometer outside the colony perimeter. Large doors opened on the sides of the ships, and alien soldiers began pouring out. "Here they come," Rita said into her radio. "Looks like about 200 ground troops from the first wave." The alien soldiers were impressive. They wore dark armor that seemed to absorb light, and they carried the same energy weapons the humans had seen on the command ship. They moved in perfect formation across the open ground toward the colony. Admiral Torres gave the first order. "All units, commence conventional attack pattern. Railguns, target the landing ships." The colony's defensive railguns opened fire from hidden positions around the settlement. The metal projectiles streaked through the air toward the alien ships, moving at incredible speed. When they hit the alien shields, bright flashes of energy lit up the morning sky. But the shields held. Every projectile was stopped before it could reach the ships themselves. Commander Vex's laughter came over the communication channels. "Is this the best you can do, humans? Our shields are barely registering your attacks. More alien ships landed, disgorging hundreds of additional soldiers. The aliens advanced confidently. Across the open ground, their weapons charging with blue energy. Second phase, Torres ordered. Missile batteries fire at will. Hidden missile launchers throughout the colony fired their payloads at the approaching alien forces. Dozens of missiles streaked through the air, their exhaust trails making white lines against the blue sky. The aliens didn't even bother to dodge. Their personal shield generators easily deflected the explosive warheads. Some aliens actually stopped walking to watch the missiles explode harmlessly against their defenses. "This is pathetic," one alien officer broadcast. "Our training exercises are more challenging than this." The alien ground forces reached the colony's outer buildings and began their assault. Human Marines engaged them with conventional firearms, filling the air with the sound of gunshots. But the bullets bounced off alien armor like rain hitting metal. Overlord Kane's voice boomed from the ships above. "Humans, you see now why resistance is pointless. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Surrender and avoid further embarrassment." Lieutenant Jake was monitoring all communications from his post in the command center. "Sir, they're not even using half their forces. They think this is just target practice." Marcus smiled grimly. "Good. Keep up the conventional attack for another 10 minutes. Make sure they're completely confident." The battle continued with humans appearing to fight desperately with standard weapons, while the aliens advanced slowly, almost casually. Some alien soldiers were actually taking pictures of themselves standing in front of human defensive positions. Dr. Alina was tracking the aliens' energy signatures throughout the battle. "Their shield generators are working exactly as I predicted," she reported. "They're calibrated for high energy and high velocity threats." Commander Vex landed his personal transport near the colony center and stepped out with a squad of elite soldiers. He carried a banner with the hegemony symbol, planning to plant it in the middle of the human settlement as a victory trophy. "This was almost too easy," Vex said to his soldiers. "These humans fight like children with toy weapons." Admiral Torres watched the alien commander through his binoculars. Vex was standing in the open, completely exposed, his shields at minimum power because he felt no threat from human weapons. "All units, this is Torres," the Admiral said into his radio. "Execute Protocol Primitive." I repeat, execute Protocol Primitive. Sergeant Rita heard the code words and smiled. She reached into her pack and pulled out a weapon the aliens had never seen before. It was a simple flamethrower, using chemical fuel to create intense fire. "Remember what we practiced?" Rita told her Marines. "Low tech, high impact." The first flamethrower burst took the aliens completely by surprise. The stream of burning fuel passed right through their energy shields, which were designed to stop solid projectiles and energy beams, not sustained chemical combustion. An alien soldier screamed as the fire engulfed his armor. The advanced metal began to melt under the intense heat, something their technology had never been designed to handle. "What is this weapon?" Commander Vex shouted in confusion. "Our computers cannot classify this attack type." More human teams emerged from hidden positions carrying flamethrowers, napalm dispensers, and other incendiary weapons. The aliens' shields offered no protection against the spreading flames and superheated gases. Dr. Alina activated the second phase of their plan. "Deploying electromagnetic pulse devices," she announced. Hidden throughout the colony, simple EMP generators came online. These devices were crude compared to alien technology, but they worked on principles the aliens had never encountered. Their advanced systems began failing as the electromagnetic interference disrupted their delicate electronics. Alien soldiers found their weapons shutting down randomly, their communication systems filled with static. Even their shield generators started flickering on and off unpredictably. "Our equipment is malfunctioning," one alien reported in panic. "The humans are using some kind of interference weapon." Commander Vex tried to contact his ships for support, but his communication device was producing only electronic noise. Around him, his elite soldiers were struggling with weapons that no longer responded to their commands. Lieutenant Jake had taken position with a team of engineers who were operating what looked like modified mining equipment. "Sonic disruptors ready," he reported. The mining equipment had been converted into weapons that produced intense sound waves. When activated, they created frequencies that interfered with alien inner ear structures. causing disorientation and nausea among the attacking forces. Alien soldiers began stumbling and falling as their balance systems were disrupted by the sonic attacks. Their advanced armor provided no protection against sound waves that affected their biological functions directly.
Ow.
"This is impossible," Vex said, holding his head as the sonic weapons made him dizzy. "These are not real weapons. These are industrial tools." "Exactly," Marcus said, appearing behind the alien commander with a group of human marines. "We're not fighting you with weapons. We're fighting you with everything." Commander Vex stumbled backward as the sonic weapons continued to disorient him. His elite soldiers were scattered around the colony center, some on their knees clutching their heads, others trying to operate weapons that sparked and failed randomly. "How are you doing this?" Vex demanded, his voice shaking with confusion and anger. "Your primitive technology cannot defeat our advanced systems." Captain Marcus stepped closer, flanked by Marines carrying an assortment of unconventional weapons. "That's where you made your mistake, Commander. You prepared for advanced technology, not human creativity." The battle was spreading throughout the colony as more human teams revealed their hidden weapons. Sergeant Rita led a squad through the residential area, using flamethrowers to drive alien soldiers from their positions. The aliens tried to retreat, but their communication systems were still jammed by the EMP devices. "Fall back to the landing ships," one alien officer tried to broadcast. But his message came out as electronic static. Dr. Alina was coordinating the next phase from her command post. She had spent the previous day analyzing biological samples the aliens had left behind during their diplomatic visit. Her computer screens showed genetic structures and physiological data. "Phase 3 is ready," Alina announced over the radio. "Deploying biological countermeasures." Human teams throughout the colony activated devices that released specially designed biological agents into the air. These were not deadly diseases, but rather targeted organisms that interfered with alien respiratory systems. The first alien to breathe the modified air began coughing violently. His breathing became labored, and his skin changed color as his body struggled to process oxygen contaminated with the biological agents. "Medical emergency," the alien gasped into his malfunctioning radio. "Unknown biological attack. It cannot breathe properly." More aliens began experiencing similar symptoms as the biological agents spread through the air. Their advanced medical technology was useless against organisms it had never encountered before. Commander Vex watched in horror as his soldiers collapsed around him, not from fatal injuries, but from biological warfare his species had no defense against. His own breathing was becoming difficult. "This violates the conventions of civilized warfare," Vex protested. Admiral Torres approached. The alien commander with a grim smile. "There are no conventions when someone threatens to destroy our families and our home." Meanwhile, Lieutenant Jake was leading a special team toward the alien landing ships. They carried weapons that looked like modified construction tools, nail guns, welding torches, and industrial cutting equipment. "Their ship hulls are designed to resist energy weapons and explosive damage," Jake explained to his team. "But they probably never tested them against simple physical penetration." The team reached the nearest alien ship, where a few guards were trying to maintain a defensive perimeter despite their equipment failures. Jake's modified nail gun fired steel spikes with enough force to punch through the alien armor that had easily deflected bullets. "Possible," one alien guard said as he looked down at the steel spike protruding from his chest plate. "This is just a construction tool." "Construction, destruction, it's all in how you use it," Jake replied, reloading his improvised weapon. The human team used welding torches to cut through the ship's hull, creating their own entrances instead of trying to fight through the heavily defended doorways. The aliens inside were unprepared for attackers who ignored conventional assault tactics. Dr. Alina received reports from teams throughout the colony. "Marcus, the biological agents are working better than expected. The aliens' respiratory systems are more sensitive than we thought." "What about their ships in orbit?" asked. "Their crews are probably experiencing similar effects. I designed the organisms to survive in zero atmosphere for limited periods. Some should have reached their ships through their air recycling systems." High above the planet, Overlord Kane was indeed experiencing problems aboard his command ship. Several crew members had collapsed. and the ship's medical systems were detecting unknown biological contamination throughout the vessel. How did primitive humans develop biological weapons? Kane demanded of his science officer. Sir, our databases contain no information about human biological warfare capabilities. We assume they lacked the technology for such attacks. Assumptions, Kane snarled. We have made too many assumptions about these creatures. Back on the surface, the tide of battle had completely turned. Human teams were systematically dismantling alien resistance, using weapons and tactics the invaders had never encountered. Sergeant Rita discovered that ordinary household chemicals, when combined properly, created gases that corroded alien equipment. Their metal has no resistance to common acids, she reported with satisfaction. Another team found that simple magnetic devices disrupted the aliens' guidance systems. Their sophisticated targeting computers became useless when exposed to basic electromagnetic fields. Commander Vex was now surrounded by humans armed with improvised weapons. His elite soldiers were either unconscious from the biological agents or disabled by equipment failures. His own breathing was becoming increasingly labored. We surrender, Vex said weakly. Call off your biological attack. Surrender. Marcus asked, An hour ago you were telling us resistance was impossible. Dr. Alina approached with a medical scanner, studying the alien commander's vital signs. The biological agents aren't fatal, she explained. They'll recover once they're removed from the contaminated environment. Why didn't you just kill us? Vex asked, confusion evident in his voice. Because we're not monsters, Marcus replied. We fight to protect our home, not to commit genocide. Lieutenant Jake returned from the landing ships with news of their success. We've captured 3 ships intact, sir. The crews surrendered once we demonstrated that their hulls could be breached with simple tools. The communication system crackled as Overlord Kane's voice came through, though it sounded strained and weak. Human leader, we wish to discuss. Terms? Torres asked with amusement. A few hours ago, you were demanding our unconditional surrender. That was before we understood your capabilities, Kane admitted reluctantly. Dr. Alina was analyzing data from the captured alien. Equipment. Marcus, their technology is incredibly sophisticated, but it's also incredibly specialized. They've spent so much time perfecting defenses against known threats that they never considered unknown ones. It's like they forgot that war isn't just about having the best weapons, Sergeant Rita observed. It's about adapting to whatever your enemy throws at you. The alien forces throughout the colony were either captured or in retreat. Their advanced weapons lay scattered on the ground, many of them still sparking from electromagnetic interference. Human teams were collecting the equipment while providing medical aid to aliens suffering from the biological agents. Commander. Vex struggled to his feet, his breathing slowly improving as the biological effects began to fade. You have taught us a valuable lesson today, humans. What lesson is that? Marcus asked. That advanced technology means nothing without the wisdom to use it properly, Vex replied, looking around at his defeated forces. The battle reached its final phase when Captain Marcus made a decision that surprised everyone, including his own officers. Instead of negotiating from the surface, he chose to take the fight directly to Overlord Kane. I'm going up to there. Command ship, Marcus announced to Admiral Torres and Dr. Alina in the colony command center. Sir, that's extremely dangerous, Torres protested. We have them beaten down here. Why risk it? Because we need to finish this properly, Marcus replied. If we let them retreat and regroup, they might come back with weapons designed to counter. Our tactics? Dr. Elena had been studying the captured alien technology throughout the battle. Actually, Marcus might be right. I've learned enough about their systems to help us get aboard their ship. Lieutenant Jake volunteered to lead a boarding party. Sir, my team has experience with their ship layouts from capturing the landing craft. We can get you to their command bridge. Sergeant Rita gathered 12 of her best Marines, each armed with the improvised weapons that had proven so effective against alien technology. We'll use the same tactics that work down here, she said, checking her flamethrower fuel levels. The boarding party used one of the captured alien shuttles to approach the main command ship. Dr. Elena had modified the shuttle's identification systems, making it appear to be returning from the surface with human prisoners. This is Transport 7, returning with captured humans for interrogation. Jake broadcast to the alien ship, using Commander Vex's voice patterns that Elena had recorded. Proceed to Docking Bay 4, came the reply from the alien ship. Shuttle docked without incident. As the airlock opened, the boarding party emerged wearing captured alien armor to disguise their approach. The aliens in the docking bay were suffering from the biological agents that had spread through their air systems, making them slow to react. Now, Marcus whispered. The Marines discarded their disguises and attacked with their unconventional weapons. Flamethrowers cleared the docking bay while EMP devices disabled the security systems. The aliens tried to sound alarms, but their communication networks were already compromised. The boarding party moved through the ship's corridors like a force of nature. They used welding torches to cut through sealed doors, sonic weapons too, disorient defenders, and simple acids to corrode alien equipment. How are they doing this? One alien crew member asked in panic. These weapons should not work in space. Tell that to them, his companion replied. Watching a human marine use a modified nail gun to disable an automated defense turret, the journey to the command bridge took 30 minutes of fighting through the massive ship. Every corridor brought new challenges, but the humans adapted quickly to each obstacle. When they encountered energy barriers, they used physical tools to bypass them. When aliens tried to trap them with force fields, they found alternate routes. Overlord Kane was waiting on his bridge when the humans finally arrived. The alien leader stood beside his throne wearing ceremonial armor and carrying an ornate energy weapon. Despite his obvious illness from the biological agents, he maintained his dignity. So the primitive humans have come to face me directly, Kane said, his four eyes focused on Marcus. Very well. Let us settle this as warriors. I didn't come here to fight you personally, Marcus replied. I came here to end this war. Admiral Torres stepped forward, having insisted on joining the boarding party despite the risks. Your invasion has failed, Overlord. Your forces are defeated, your ships are compromised, and your crew is incapacitated. Surrender now. Kane raised his energy weapon, but before he could fire, Sergeant Rita activated a simple electromagnetic device. The alien weapon sparked and died, its sophisticated systems unable to function in the presence of basic magnetic interference. Impossible, Kane said, staring at his useless weapon. You keep saying that word, Marcus observed. Maybe it's time you learned what it really means. The alien overlord drew a physical blade, similar to a sword but made of some advanced material that shimmered with its own light. Then we fight with primitive weapons, as your species prefers. Torres stepped between Marcus and the alien leader. I'll handle this, sir. The duel between Admiral Torres and Overlord Kane was brief but intense. The alien was stronger and faster, but Torres fought with human tactics that Kane had never encountered. Instead of trying to match the alien's strength, Torres used leverage, timing, and improvisation. When Kane swung his energy blade in a traditional combat pattern, Torres grabbed a piece of broken equipment and used it as a shield. When the alien tried to overpower him with brute force, Torres stepped aside and let Kane's momentum carry him into a control panel. The fight ended when Torres used the ship's own structure as a weapon, triggering a support beam to fall and pin the alien leader to the floor. You fight without honor, Kane gasped from beneath the beam. You fight to win, Torres replied simply. Dr. Elena had been working at the ship's main computer during the fight. Marcus, I've accessed their communication systems. I can broadcast to their entire fleet. Do it, Marcus said. Lena activated the ship-wide communication system, and Marcus's voice echoed throughout the hegemony fleet. This is Captain Marcus. Of the human colony, your invasion has failed. Your ground forces are captured, your weapons are useless against our tactics, and your command ship is under our control. Through the bridge windows, they could see the other alien ships in the fleet. Several were listing badly, their crews overcome by biological agents. Others were trying to retreat but found their navigation systems disrupted by human EMP devices. We offer you a choice, Marcus continued his broadcast. Leave our system immediately and never return, or continue fighting and face the same fate. As your comrades. One by one, the alien ships began powering down their weapons and assuming retreat formations. Their commanders had seen enough to understand that human primitive warfare was more effective than their advanced technology. Overlord Kane struggled to speak from beneath the fallen beam. How did a primitive species defeat the mighty hegemony? Dr. Alina knelt beside the fallen alien leader. We're not primitive, we're adaptive. There's a difference.
Ow!
Your technology is impressive, Marcus added. But you forgot the most important weapon of all, the ability to think differently when the situation demands it. The cleanup took several hours. Human teams throughout the colony were treating captured aliens with the medical care they needed to recover from the biological agents. The colonists worked alongside their former enemies to repair damage from the battle. Commander Vex, now recovered from his earlier exposure to human weapons, approached Marcus in the colony center. We have learned much today about human capabilities. What will you tell the rest of the galaxy about us? Marcus asked. That humans are not to be underestimated, Vex replied. That your primitive weapons are more dangerous than our advanced ones because they are unpredictable. As the alien fleet departed, leaving behind only their promise never to return, the colonists gathered in the main square to celebrate their victory. Children played with pieces of captured alien technology while their parents shared stories. Of the battle, Dr. Alina stood with Marcus and Torres watching the alien ships disappear into space. They'll spread word about what happened here, she said. Good, Marcus replied. Let the galaxy know that humans don't start fights, but we finish them.